As Bruce Buffer would say, it's time. What is it time for? Well, it's time for a full review of the new Judas Priest album, Invincible Shield. I've been dying to tell you people about this record. I've been sitting on it for about a month now. I talked to Ian, Recchia, and Rob about it, and there's going to be a full feature in Goldmine magazine on that, where we also I did this long thing where I reverse rank and review every single Judas Priest song from the 70s. So look at that there as well. But yes, out of respect for the label and everything, they don't want reviews to come out too far in advance. But this is definitely appropriate to talk about this record now because it is imminent, and you people are going to really like this. I think it's an amazing album. Just to give a little bit of background, we all heard Panic Attack first, and you could see my full review on the Contrarians here of Panic Attack from whatever it is, a month or two ago. And also there was the second track, Trial by Fire, and there's been videos for these now, right? And Trial by Fire I thought was a really excellent song too. So yeah, Panic Attack, I really like the chord changes, the idea of talking about modern times, which is kind of cool in there, and Rob mentions the word memes. We all had a good laugh about that. But yeah, I think the chord changes are really cool. It's got that Priest thing where you've got just a really straightforward chorus. Hang on, does that have the big pre-chorus thing? Anyways, that's another long story. But yeah, Trial by Fire was the second song that came out, and I thought that was a really good addition too. Just overall, as I was hearing those two songs, and then we go to Crown of Horns, so now we've got three songs. I knew they were going to get some stick for that one because that is actually the most melodic and straightforward song on the album, I would say. And I understand why they put that out as the third advanced single, because it's such a contrast with the rest of the album and quite a contrast with Trial by Fire and Panic Attack. But predictably, it got some reviews that were saying, man, this is really kind of commercial and hair metal-y. And I even saw one comment said, this is like Christian metal or something, right? So I thought that was funny. I knew they'd get some, but hats off to them for putting that out. But yeah, in terms of this album in total, I would say what you're getting with this record is you're getting kind of the same arrangements and production quality, like that really high fidelity, powerful metal sound that you get on Firepower, which is different than Redeemer of Souls, where you've got that strange, that Glenn Tipton, Nostradamus, Baptism of Fire kind of production going on there, the Mike Exeter thing or whatever. But here you've got, so this is basically Andee Sneap. And there's a little bit of the songs are a carryover. There's a couple songs here that are carryover from Firepower. So you've got some Tom Allom in there as producer as well. Talking with Ian again, you can read our whole story in Goldmine, but he says, the parts were recorded in various places. Nashville. Ian jokes that most of his bass parts were done at various hotel rooms on tour because they, Andee had the whole setup there and stuff. But yeah, I would say I've been squawking this a little bit here and there when, it's sort of, like I say, we weren't allowed to really review the whole record. So I'd throw in a couple of comments here and there. But I still believe I've called this my favorite Priest record since Hellbent for Leather. I think it is absolutely better than any of these recent ones. And when I take a good hard look at the 80s albums, I like a lot more of the songs here. There's a few on every record that would knock it down at least below this one. But Hellbent for Leather is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's unassailable. And then yeah, a lot of the 70s stuff I'd still say I like better than this record. But yeah, favorite Priest album since Hellbent for Leather. I'm just going to quickly go through my notes that I put together, pre my interviews with these guys, which were about a month ago. But the Serpent of the King, 419, excellent kind of old school riff on here, super fast, speedy metal. It's got that Phrygian high singing thing that Rob does occasionally, famously on Painkiller. Double bass. half-speed chorus. So here, the thing with this record that I really like is Scott Travis has kind of loosened up a little on, the one thing we know about Scott is he loves that kind of mechanistic double bass at high speed or even at half speed kind of thing. But he's kind of loosened up. There's a few more kind of 70s grooves on here. I feel like maybe it's just a metaphor, but I mean, it does occur, but the hi-hat seems a little more open here and there. So there's a little more grooving on here as well. Invincible Shield. This is the only time I felt a little bit of sameness or assembly line, because Invincible Shield to me is quite similar to The Serpent and the King, but that's over with after this. These are really the only two songs in a row that I feel I felt there was a little bit of a Riot vibe on here as well. Also double bass on this one. Surprise sort of turn for the verse, more of that Phrygian high singing from Rob. But yeah, the chorus sounds almost exactly like the chorus of the previous song, The Serpent and the King. It's like my mind was playing tricks on me. It's really weird. Remember, I mean, this is a little obscure, but The Damned actually on the last Damned album started two songs exactly the same. It was almost like it's like a funny in joke sort of thing. But Devil in Disguise, same key. It's got this sort of chugging feel, but it's also got this kind of funky feel to the verse, which is kind of cool. And the vocal melody, great parts. Again, I want to say that the thing that makes this such a good album, and both Recchia and Ian reinforce this and almost said it kind of the same way, is that there are surprising twists and turns. So there's non-obvious parts that kind of kick in, or the transitions into bridges or into pre-choruses, verse to chorus, choruses and verses that don't sound like they should go together, but they sound great because it sounds super fresh. So I think just generally this is almost every single song on this. This is what I loved about it. Almost every single song on this, I liked in any kind of matchups you would make with Firepower more than every single song on Firepower. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, I that's why I think it's quite a bit of a better album. Although I think the sonics are sort of similar. Gates of Hell, I almost like a Thin Lizzy twin lead kind of going here, but a good pocket in here, stomping with spaces between the chords. So that's cool. It's kind of a bit of a stacked chord run. Again, this is one where I feel like a little bit of open hi-hat to it. Crown of Horns, you've all heard, and that is a strange one with a weird guitar solo at the beginning. As God Is My Witness is super fast. It reminded me of Between the Hammer and the Anvil. Double bass, but not super fast on the double bass, but the riff is played really fast. Great chords, again, melodic chorus. So that's the other thing. There's a lot of melody on this album. A lot of the more not trying to be heavier than thou all the time kind of feel, right? Trial by Fire, you've heard, and I've always liked that. I love how the video reminds me of Snowy Shaw's Nachtgeist video. That's such a great song and such a great video. Escape from Reality, slow, doomy one. Again, feels like the drum grind is a little grindier, a little bit of open hi-hat on that. A very melodic verse, quiet, kind of unexpected. And I think this is a masterpiece. I think this is the greatest, possibly the best song on the album. Sons of Thunder, kind of like a lean and mean biker sort of song. It's really, really cool. Kind of a chanted gang vocal on it. Just a different sort of vibe. These keyboard stabs in it, pretty interesting. Giants in the Sky, kind of a proggier one, big proggy riff to it. Again, there's kind of a prog element to this album, but not Wizards and Fairies lyrics or time signature stuff, but just lots of parts. The songs have lots of parts in them, and they're quite unexpected parts. So they break a lot of rules. But yeah, this is slow, melodic, kind of complicated. Fight for Your Life, bit bluesy, funky. Intro, kind of a thumping sort of song. Double fisted on the verse, so the double fisted hi-hat thing. I think that's what I was referring to. Like I said, I'm kind of going through my notes here. I wrote down Metal Gods as well. Maybe it reminds me of Metal Gods a little bit. Vicious Circle. Um, to me, this is a little bit like Panic Attack, until the verse where it goes halftime, which is quite surprising, and then the Lodger. So right now we're actually in the extra tracks. So it's kind of weird. I mean, as I said to Richie, it's like once you see this on Spotify, it's just going to list all 14 tracks, because it's 11 tracks officially, right, ending in Giants in the Sky at 52 minutes 36. But it's got these extra tracks. Now the Lodger is a Bob Halligan Jr. song. It's very different. It reminds me a little bit of that whole Guns N' Roses Queen Alice Cooper sort of vibe. It was one they weren't sure of, and again they're almost doing that thing that they did with Redeemer. It was Redeemer, right? With the extra EP tracks that sounded quite different from the album. And so they put these songs aside, saying, well, they don't quite fit the flow of the album or whatever. But really, 3 extra tracks to get it to 63 minutes. It's not crazy overtime long. I think everybody's going to consider the album the full album at the full 14 tracks. But this is the weirdest one, and like I say, it's going back to that tradition. How they use Bob Halligan Jr. a couple times in the past, 3 times, I think. Anyways. There you go. So it ends with probably the most surprising sort of song, kind of keyboardy, kind of prog metal, not a ballad, more like kind of a gothic song. Like I say, it's got that modern Alice Cooper vibe to it, which I thought was cool. So there you go. Love this album to death. I think they did an amazing job on this. And like I say, I got a lot of time for it. There's a lot of substance here, a lot to dig into, that you're going to feel like they've really gone on a little bit of a trip and kind of raised that creativity level. Obviously not to the nutty objective genius level of Sad Wings, Through Sin After Sin, Stained Class, Hellbent. But there's definitely some kind of creative new inspired vibe that has gone into these songs and sent them kind of way beyond where you're feeling that. I think you're feeling that sort of more slightly restricted rule book Redeemer Through Firepower sort of vibe. But that's the Pandora's box has been opened, and you're gonna go, wow, I did not expect that, and I did not expect that, and this is happening throughout a whole pile of songs. So yeah, to get yourself ready for the Priest, which is out very shortly now, go play those 3 songs again. I mean, that's a good taster where you're getting all sort of variety too. But yeah, go play some Panic Attack.